Is there a God?
Who determined the laws? Where did the laws come from? Is there a lawgiver?
And I hear arguments for atheism.
There's no evidence that we need anything other than the laws of physics and the other laws of science to explain everything we see. There's absolutely no evidence that we need any supernatural hand of God.
If your sister came to you and said, I feel that there's a ghost in my attic, I have no reason to believe in this ghost.
But if there's no God, right? If there's God, at least there's a pretty reasonable chance.
If God does not exist, belief in God is humanity's monumental folly.
What do we need God for? There's plenty of natural arguments to explain why this false belief would arise.
I just don't believe in God. I would be shocked and amazed if it turned out there was a God.
If I am to know God, or know there is no God, perhaps the universe shall be my teacher.
The universe from the beginning is the kind of universe that one would expect from a creator who in fact sees the future of human beings as part of that universe.
I think it's quite likely that the universe has some sort of a mental apparatus, which you can call God if you like.
When we look at the universe, it seems it's ordered, it's mathematical. Wow, it looks like a fix, it looks like it's been designed.
The concept of God is deeply embedded in the human psyche.
In the view of such harmony in the cosmos, which I, with my limited human mind, am able to recognize, there are yet people who say there is no God. We know nothing about God and the world at all. All our knowledge is but the knowledge of school children. Possible we shall know a little more than we do now, but the real nature of things, that we shall never know. Never.
He even revealed his insightful mind with,
I see a pattern, but my imagination cannot picture the maker of the pattern. I see a clock, but I cannot envision the clockmaker. The human mind is unable to conceive of the four dimensions. So how can it conceive of a God before whom 1,000 years and 1,000 dimensions are as one?
when asked to what extent are you influenced by Christianity, he said,
As a child, I received instruction in both the Bible and the Talmud. I am a Jew, but I am enthralled by the luminous figure of the Nazarene.
When asked if he accepted the historical existence of Jesus, he replied,
Unquestionably, no one can read the Gospels without feeling the actual presence of Jesus. His personality pulsates in every word. No myth is filled with such life.
Albert Einstein wasn't a fool. He believed in God. He said of the Creator's existence,
I am not an atheist. I don't think I can call myself a pantheist. The problem involved is too vast for our limited minds. We are in the position of a little child entering a huge library filled with books in many languages. The child knows someone must have written those books. It does not know how. It does not understand the languages in which they are written. The child dimly suspects a mysterious order in the arrangement of the books, but doesn't know what it is. That, it seems to me, is the attitude of even the most intelligent human being toward God. We see the universe marvelously arranged and obeying certain laws, but only dimly understand these laws.
he continued,
What separates me from most so-called atheists is a feeling of utter humility toward the unattainable secrets of the harmony of the cosmos.
I believe in Spinoza's God, who reveals himself in the orderly harmony of what exists, not in a God who concerns himself with fates and actions of human beings.
Einstein was asked the big question, is there a God? Is there a meaning to everything, right?
Right.
And here's how Einstein answered the question. He said, there really are two kinds of gods. We have to be very scientific. We have to define what you mean by God. If God is the God of intervention, the personal God, the God of prayer, the God that parts the waters, then he had a hard time believing in that. Would God listen to all our prayers for a bicycle for Christmas and smite the Philistines for me, please?
Right.
He didn't think so. However, he believed in the God of order, harmony, beauty, simplicity, and elegance, the God of Spinoza. That's the God that he believed in, because he thought the universe was so gorgeous. It didn't have to be that way. It could have been chaotic. It could have been ugly, messy.
A quasi-mystical response to nature and the universe is common among scientists and rationalists. It has no connection with supernatural belief. Great scientists of our time who sound religious usually turn out not to be so when you examine their beliefs more deeply. One of Einstein's most eagerly quoted remarks is,
"Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind."
Do you think that God can intervene in the universe as he wants, or is God too bound by the laws of science?
The question of whether God is bound by the laws of science is a bit like the question, can God make a stone that is so heavy that he cannot lift it? I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in. All our observations suggest that it operates according to well-defined laws. These laws may have been ordained by God, but it seems that he does not intervene in the universe to break the laws, at least, not once he had set the universe going.
If M theory proves to be the complete theory of the universe, will it prove or disprove the idea of a benevolent creator?
M theory doesn't disprove God, but it makes him unnecessary. It predicts that the universe will be spontaneously created out of nothing, without the need for a creator.
I don't try to imagine a personal God. It suffices to stand in awe at the structure of the world, insofar as it allows our inadequate senses to appreciate it. Albert Einstein. I do not believe in a personal God, and I have never denied this, but have expressed it clearly. If something is in me which can be called religious, then it is the unbounded admiration for the structure of the world, so far as our science can reveal it.
Einstein meant something entirely different from what is conventionally meant. Here are two more quotations from Einstein to give a flavor of Einsteinian religion.
I am a deeply religious non-believer. This is a somewhat new kind of religion. The idea of a personal God is quite alien to me and seems even naive.
There is no matter as such. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter.
For example, if gravity were very strong, then anything as big as us would get crushed. If there were no gravity at all, then no stars would be able to form because they're held together by gravity. No planets either.
And the other laws are equally fine-tuned. Any slight adjustment to their value, and we would never exist. There is no known reason why these values should be set as they are, yet they do seem to be fine-tuned to allow our creation.
The fine-tunings, how fine-tuned are they? Most of them are 1% sort of things. In other words, if a thing is 1% different, everything is bad. And a physicist could say, maybe those are just luck. On the other hand, this cosmological constant is tuned to 1 part and 10 to the 120, 120 decimal places. Nobody thinks that's accidental.
Cosmological constant needs to be set to 1 part in a trillion, 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 trillion. Otherwise the universe would be so drastically different that it would be impossible for us to evolve. That the cosmological constant arrived at such a tiny value by chance seemed to be out of the question. It seemed that hidden in the laws of nature was a value so precise that it was impossible to deny that our universe was designed. But a designed universe requires the existence of a designer. In searching for an alternative explanation to the religious accounts of our creation, cosmologists have uncovered a possibility that seems incredibly similar. An all-powerful, all-knowing, super-intelligent being. An entity whose motives are unfathomable and whose existence is unprovable.
It's very important for us physicists to not dismiss ideas just because they're weird. Because if we did, we would have already dismissed atoms, black holes, and all sorts of other marvelous things.
I'd like to hear how a believer who is a scientist argues about God. I go to Harvard to meet Owen Gingrich, Emeritus Professor of Astronomy and the History of Science. Owen is a leading expert on Copernicus's epic-making book on the revolutions of the heavenly spheres, which he is delighted to show me.
Well, first off, I don't think science can give any proofs for the existence of God or for the non-existence of God. These issues are deep ones, they're metaphysical, they're related to the entire framework in which the universe itself sits. If you think of God as not only creator, but sustainer of the universe, then this framework itself would not exist if it were not for God's ongoing action.
So what I hear from this is that if I want to think about God, I'm limiting God by thinking of God only as a creator.
I would say that is a very important theological underpinning. But if we take seriously the statement in the first chapter of Genesis that God created mankind, humankind, in his own image, and ask what that means, I would say it must have something to do with creativity itself, with self-consciousness, and with conscience. I look at big issues around the time of Galileo, where a proof text was used against the Copernican heliocentric system. Psalm 104, the Lord God laid the foundation of the earth that it not be moved forever. I mean, I've asked my students, can they think of an interpretation of that verse? And to my astonishment, they were baffled. But Kepler had it right. He said that verse is talking about the stability of the earth as a home for humankind. It is a place that is satisfactory for life to inhabit. It has nothing to do with celestial mechanics. But I would think that in order to understand God, one has to understand God with a human vocabulary, even though that is so foreign to what God may be like.
I feel the power of Owen's God as the sustainer of the universe, which is even more fundamental than as its creator.